All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Juice is Loose, number 128. So tonight we're going to be giving or some of us will be giving our impressions of Resident Evil 7. We'll be talking about the double standards that just never seem to go away in this gaming community, and also a little tidbit about some interviews with Enuma and Miyamoto about the development of Zelda that I found pretty interesting, so we'll discuss that. But first, I want to welcome back to the Juice is Loose. I think the last time you were on might have been number 50, so it's been a while. So what's up, Leveled Head?
Man, I'm back on the Juice is Loose. Oh my God, I feel privileged, man. Back on with some people that I used to kick it with pretty hard back, about a year ago. So I look forward to the conversation, man. Happy to be here.
All right, yeah, glad to have you back, and with that Switch, I think the Nintendo fans are coming back together, so hopefully it lasts through the whole generation. But so next up we got Robert. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys? It's Robert Gaming with me, and there we go.
All right, next up, Terrell.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of eating. I shouldn't have done that.
Too late. The damage is done.
Hey, man. It's Monday night. We chilling. We're about to talk some video games. It's gonna be good. Son, it's gonna be great.
All right, next up, Rob. Man, what's up?
Yo, Rob from Rule of Two Review. Stoked as always to be back on The Juice is Loose, and I am also stoked that Leveled made it back on. Man, it's been a long time since we chatted, so should be a fun cast. I'm pumped.
Yeah, and I think when Leveled was on last time, I think Terrell had only been on a few at that point because you were real timid. I remember listening to that when I was making
Terrell timid? That kid.
Wait, you saying I was timid?
No.
Yeah, you were quiet. You were just kind of laid back.
Well, yeah, I was just kind of feeling everything out.
All right, but yeah, so it's good to have Level back on because I don't think Rob Rule 2 wasn't on back in those days.
I was on one time with him.
Yeah, we did one together.
My first podcast was with him, which is funny.
Yeah.
Crazy. So Meza T, I don't know if he's on his mic. What's up?
I's here.
What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Let's do this damn thing. I haven't heard a word of anything. I just popped in.
All right, so we're gonna jump into the Resident Evil 7 impressions. Right. T hasn't played it. Terrell and Leveled, I'm gonna encourage you to ask questions if you want, something we're not covering, and if you have any interest in the game, feel free to jump in. So I'm gonna just start with just quick overall feelings so far. I'm about 2.5 hours into the game. And I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm really liking the game. I didn't want to, like I said, I'll just play a little bit longer last night. Next thing I know, it's 11:15. And it's just one of those experiences where I didn't want to turn it off, and I couldn't wait to play it again. So that's a good sign. Won't go into any details at this point because I got some talking points I want to hit. But I guess the best thing I can say about it is they developed this game. They trust the gamer to play the game and figure stuff out, and it's there's no hand holding, there's no yellow arrow pointing where you need to go. It's really just you need to survive, and here you get thrown into it, and here you go, you got to figure shit out. That's basically how the game works. And so I thought that was really cool. I felt like, as an old school gamer, like it felt like very Legend of Zelda-esque in that regard, like the first Zelda, where you just play the game and you figure it as you go. So I really like that part of it. So next we'll go to Robert. Just quick overall feeling so far. How far into the game are you and stuff like that?
Okay, so I'm about. I think I'm about to get onto my 6th hour of the game, and I should have been finished with it. It pisses me off or whatever. It's really damn good. It's creepy. The atmosphere is awesome. The sound, every little thing, like just puts you on edge. It's incredible, and it really is like kind of tough for with no map and everything. Where you there's like little objectives where like do I need to find that there or there? It's really damn good.
And you never played a Resident Evil game, so you don't have anything to base it on, really.
No, yeah, I just based it on PT. That's what I want. That's what I liked it for, because it looked like PT.
Because in the Resident Evil games, there's a door, it had an emblem on it, and you just knew you had to find the key with the matching emblems, that kind of stuff, which is in this game. So Rob, why don't you give your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep my fanboying to a minimum, but I am in so major gush mode over this game right now. It totally is surpassing like my wildest expectations, because we all know like I was really excited, but also nervous because the first person thing felt so weird. And so now that it's out and it's getting reviewed and I'm playing it, my girlfriend and I are playing it together because we like to play scary games together. And or more, she's watching me play it more than anything and getting scared as I do. And it's like, I don't know, it's just such the perfect Resident Evil game to be like a modern day Resident Evil game. We're probably 4.5, maybe almost 5 or so hours into it. And I know most people can say they can beat this game in 7 or 8 hours, but this is the kind of game that'll take me probably 10 hours. So I feel like I'm not quite halfway through. But, you know, the quick thoughts are like, just that they did it. They found a way to take this game and make it feel, Juice, like you were saying, like a Resident Evil game in so many little ways. And like Robert, your perspective is different because you haven't played it. So what's cool is you're able to kind of look at it on just its own merits as just a game, like a scary game that released today.
Yep.
And it's still, and it's still great. But for anyone who grew up also playing the older Resident Evil games, like the coolest part is how they managed to take what felt like the blueprint of the old Resident Evil games and make it in this 3D game and like in a first-person engine, which they never did before. And like Juice, you talk about, you know, they don't give you the arrows and the waypoints and all that stuff. And Robert, that was what was kind of making it harder for you to figure out what's going on. And that is Resident Evil. Like that is how those games were, and old school games. And the last point I'll say before Juice, you take us to wherever, is for me, and this might sound like blasphemy to some people, but really don't look at it in such a negative way. This is nothing but a good thing. I think this game for Resident Evil did exactly what Metroid Prime did for the Metroid series. And that is nothing but a compliment to both series, and it makes me so happy as an old school fan. So anyway, I could gush forever, but I'm going to shut up and let you carry on. I freaking love it.
So let me get have you played Resident Evil games before? Do you have any interest in these?
I haven't really played. I will say I've been looking at a lot of footage of Resident Evil, primarily 4, and I watched a lot of this. This last week, I've been watching a lot of Resident Evil 7 footage. It's okay. I'm not really a horror game guy personally. That's my main reason. Which was probably going to be, if I was going to ask a question to someone, I'd probably be like in Robert's camp where I've never really played a Resident Evil game before. Would you guys say it's scary? Well, I guess
it's definitely.
Go ahead.
It's definitely tense, and there's some pretty good scares so far.
Yeah, it's creepy. I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh my god, every single time, but it's definitely like very, like I said, edge on your seat every single sound.
Yeah, the tension, right? That's what it does. Is it keeps you like every time you hear a crack in the wood, you're like, what was that? And it does such a good job of that.
Speaking of some creepy door,
that's exactly what it sounds like.
This is the Resident Evil podcast.
The door opens and then the knife comes out of someone's bag.
So, Leveled, just to get your take, what's your experience with the Resident Evil games, I guess?
Well, I played the original remake on the GameCube. Couldn't finish it because I like Terrell said, I can't do scary games, man. Dead Space. The last scary game I played was the original Dead Space, and it was freaking me out so much, dude, that I couldn't play it. I just had to get this. Ain't no game gonna make my manhood shrink like this. So
I actually I beat Dead Space twice without stopping, and then I was on my third playthrough. And once the scare goes away, then just the really good mechanics and stuff come
way to make me feel like a chump.
I know, that's just gonna make
Thank you, Juice. I appreciate you. You know, saying I played through straight. Where my manhood was giving up.
Just came back. You can bust him out like this.
No, but once you do get through the scares and the creepiness of the antagonists, all the monsters or whatnot, then I was able to play it. By that time, I got to one part I just couldn't beat it, but. Yeah. I gave up so many times, man, it didn't even matter. But the last one I played of Resident Evil was Resident Evil 5, and I played 4 and 5, which I like, but there's more action. I played the original remake on the GameCube, and I played the one on the Dreamcast with was it Valentine?
Code Veronica, yeah.
Yeah, Veronica. So That's my experience with Resident Evil. I tuned out once I played 6, the demo of 6. I tuned out after that. I was like, Capcom don't know what they're doing. Ain't no point in me even following the series no more. So I haven't really kept up with this new one. So I don't know much about it because I haven't watched anything on it to really know. But
and I know you're not the hugest first person perspective fan either.
And I didn't even know that until Terrell just said it. Y'all said it. I didn't know it was first person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those kind of games too.
I will say it does add to some of the, you feel like you're more immersed into the game. And then they purposely make you so you move slow, so it's not fast paced. Like, I would highly advise someone to not play Doom immediately before playing Resident Evil 7, because
I'd agree with that.
I did that for the demo, and it almost felt unplayable afterwards. So
that's what I would ask you. What are the controls like? Like, is it stiff like the original? I know you in the first person view.
No. Because the original used like those static cameras, so they made it so up always made you walk forward. It's the tank controls that
it would be
okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's different.
It's like if you played Metroid Prime, it slows you down on purpose because they want you to take in everything and not be able to avoid things easily. So that's what adds to the tension. They purposely make you move slow. I see in the options there's a option for movement speed, but it's locked. So I don't know if that's for easy mode or for
weird.
But
and
anyway,
to be fair, you can also run too. So that
but even running feels very slow. But
yeah, that's true.
It's intentional. It's very Zombie U like in that regard, I think, or even Fatal Frame, where they, I think, purposely made the character movements a little slow so that
I think that's most scary game. I mean, with the exception of Outlast. Like, because in Outlast, you're supposed to run like away.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But in every other game, I think besides Outlast, right? I think you're supposed to move slow, man. That way, you're stuck if something happens.
Yeah.
And I would say that for me, Zombie U was scarier and more tense. So far, I'm to Resident Evil.
Give it time, bro.
Yeah.
There's another one I couldn't finish.
That one's tough though. The controls on that one are a little tough. Even it's hard, but and then when you die, it's like it was so frustrating. But anyway, so Rob, you said that this totally felt like Resident Evil. For me, it doesn't feel Resident Evil enough. I would give it a 7 out of 10 as far as feeling like Resident Evil.
Okay.
But the parts that do feel like Resident Evil is for someone who's I played 1, 2, 3, or Code Veronica, 4, a little bit of 5, a little bit of 0, and a little bit of what's the one on the 3DS. So I mean, I played a lot of them.
And wait, did you say the trilogy too? Did you say that? 1, 2?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Code Veronica, the remake,
the important
0.
ones.
Yeah. So there's a couple moments where I'm like, this is just like you get to the first like save room and it has a place to put your extra stuff.
And the music in the save rooms, by the way, just even having music in that room is very OG. It makes you feel safe and comfortable. Yeah. Well, you might have only found one save room. So
I found 2.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But I didn't notice the music. So, but there's a few moments where I was like, yep, totally Resident Evil, where it's like, oh, here's a emblem here with a 3-headed dog, but the 3 heads are missing. That's totally Resident Evil.
The keys, the door, I don't want to spoil too much for you either, but like, there's a scorpion door.
Yeah, I got the scorpion key.
Yeah, see that kind of stuff, man. Right, that's very, very Resident Evil. So anyway,
but for me, I like the changes they've made. I don't know that third person would for what they were trying to do. I don't know if they could have a third person option, but I like this change. I had to turn off the camera wobble because it was making me a little nauseous. So I turned that off. So when you move, it's straight.
Just a straight, yeah.
To me, that made a big difference. But that's, I'm not as far into it. If there was some zombies or some tarantulas or something, it'd feel a little bit more like Resident Evil. But
sure, yeah.
I do like the choice they made. Like I said, it's like here's this mansion and you have to survive, and you're going to encounter this person a lot, and and he's going to impede your progress, and it's cool stuff. So here's one I wanted to go to next, and I haven't seen too many people talk about this. I've seen one review where they specifically pointed out that they feel the visuals are intentionally ugly at times, especially when you're playing the segments where you're put in a VHS tape and they intentionally make it look bad because it's like it's like you're technically supposed to be watching a video even though you're playing it.
I mean, ugly? I don't know what they're talking about. I think it's a pretty beautiful game.
Really?
No, I think it was fine enough, but I will say that when I was playing, I was like, huh. I actually thought it was gonna look better. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
well, I'll tell you
maybe
like
the character models, I would agree with.
Yeah, but I'll say the character models look rough as hell.
But they intentionally
they are.
You can't like at times it's dark except for where your light's shining. Everything's kind of got a dirtiness, like the wood. This is just nitpicking stuff, but I mean it's like some of the textures aren't great, but there's a reason for it beyond just trying to make the game look like the settings. Obviously a condemned like house with rotting stuff everywhere, but there at times there is some impressive stuff, and then other times it's less impressive. But kind of like Zombie U did it, they intentionally added all kinds of like dirt on like a lens. Like,
oh, I loved that too. Yeah,
at times it was cool, at other times I wanted to see better.
Yeah.
But so the reason for that beyond just the artistic design is that this game is VR heavy. It's for PS4. Apparently, VR games need to run at 60 frames per second in order to reduce nausea. So this game, I forgot I was going to quiz you guys at what you thought it ran at, because it's so like character movement's so slow on purpose. It doesn't feel like a 60 frames per second game at all, but it technically runs in the PS4 version almost always locked. Xbox One struggles, but it doesn't have the VR. So that's a bigger point to why I think some of the textures aren't as pretty, or the game at times isn't as technically impressive as maybe people would expect, but they had to get that 60 frames per second for the VR experience, from what I've heard. So I just wanted to point that out for anyone that thought maybe it didn't look like graphically like it should on a PS4, And
I mean, I'll say, like, I saw footage of someone doing a Let's Play of it in VR probably like a week or two before it came out, and the VR footage looked really bad. Like,
trust me, I played it at Comic-Con. I was like, damn, this is muddy. Like,
you said that. I think I remember that.
And that's the problem with with a lot of PlayStation VR games, is that a lot of the games get very muddy. And especially
they downgrade them, I think.
They do. They do. Yeah.
And I know Level played VR. Did you ever play the PlayStation VR?
No, just Oculus and Vive.
Okay, because I know
they say the VR for the PlayStation. That's why the Pro came out. Really, is to answer the real issue with the PlayStation VR. It really wasn't made for the original Pro 4.
Yeah, because I hear it's like 540 resolution or something, and
man.
So even though somebody told Rob that's the only way to play experience Resident Evil 7 is the VR. So you're looking, for those that are interested, you're looking at $400 for the VR headset, $60 for the camera, and I don't know if it uses the Move controllers. Maybe it doesn't, so you don't need that stuff.
No, it doesn't.
For Resident Evil, I don't think so, right? Yeah, no.
Okay. So then you just need the headset. But let me ask this. This is the final question. Because, Rob, this is one of the first things I said to you after they revealed at E3.
Mm-hmm.
I said they're just going to make this a VR experience first and a game second. I don't know. I haven't heard about the length of time. I feel like I got a long ways to go. But do you feel like there's any possible design choices or anything in the game you think maybe was the VR might have held back or something?
I can't use the word held back because of how surprised I am with what this game is. I think it's entirely possible that they were like, well, okay, the next Resident Evil has to go back to the roots. Like, people are bitching about that. We've obviously screwed up with 5 and 6. Let's fix that. And then they might have said, oh, well, if we're going to go back to the roots, also the VR thing is happening and Sony wants, we can do this. So I think maybe the choice to go into first person was slightly influenced by the VR. Yes, just maybe. But I will add the asterisk that in no way, shape, or form, as a gigantic Resident Evil fanboy who would have torn this game down if they effed it up, in no way, shape, or form do I think they've made a bad game because of it. So that's my personal opinion.
I think that's another reason for the slow movement. of your character, just another
Yeah.
thing to prevent nausea. So I don't know what that option for moving fast is. How to
Well,
unlock
it's
it.
tough though because again, Resident Evil game, with the exception of 6, even 5 wasn't this way. 6 was the only fast-paced Resident Evil game.
Well,
Like,
just
I
I
don't
just
know if they
feel
would've
like
made it
I'm
fast
walking.
anyway.
I feel like I'm walking through molasses. You know, it's just very sluggish, and I don't know
Maybe
if that was design choice or for VR.
I think part of it is a design choice because the first-person horror thing blew up so much the last couple of years because of like PewDiePie and Markiplier and games like Amnesia and the War of Pigs and all this stuff. Like, I really feel like that there's a combination of the VR thing, but also a design choice. At least I want to believe because this game feels just like Jim Sterling said. The game and its whole design feels very genuine and was made from a point of creativity, not a point of, oh, what's the biggest, craziest stuff we can throw in here to just make money. And so I feel like when I'm moving slow in that game, I'm glad because I want to move slow. So I don't feel like, gosh, why aren't I moving faster? You know, but the Doom comparison you make makes sense too. So I do see where you're coming from.
You got
I
something?
would say, I would say playing the Vive and the Oculus and not playing the PlayStation VR version of Resident Evil, I guess 7. I would say it's a combination of both. Because once you get to moving too fast, it gets disorientating, man, and you kind of it creates even on powerful PCs like I was playing on. The faster pace the movement was. I was playing this shooting game that had you in the cockpit and you had planes going all around you, and I don't care what you say. I got sick as soon as I turned.
Man,
really? I don't know. See,
it made me sick as a dog. I was like, So
it's a good point. There really could be something to that. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think so because again, I also played a bunch of PlayStation VR games and HTC Vive and Oculus. I played all three, and then but this is also me. I don't get sick on anything. I go on roller coasters that go looping around 15 times.
Well, yeah, you might be one of those special breeds, but me, nah. As soon as they dropped me in the cockpit and said the dude was like, here go your guns. I had this was Oculus actually. This one was. And I had the Xbox 360 controller. And he was like, man, so it looked real cool from the cockpit. You could see your arms and it was supposed to be syncing up with your body. And I was like, oh man, this is dope. Until I actually shot out the corridor into the open space. I said, get this crap off me, man. K-Bum started laughing because, dude, I was disorientated, man. It really messed me up. So I can see that maybe it wouldn't affect you, but I think they're thinking about those who might be like me, where that type of movement is so different, and them glasses are so close to your eyeballs. You don't feel it, you don't see it, but you feel it. Like you feel that it's too close, even though your eyes are trying to say that it isn't. You can tell. It's just something say, dude, this is too close to my eyeball. So it's different, but it's real though, especially if you play it on Vive and Oculus. It's a real experience, but
yeah.
So that was mine.
I did Samsung VR, which really low quality, but still a good effect. But I will say, and Robert, I'll get your final thought here. There are definitely moments where it feels like in a 3D movie, like, oh, you know, because VR is also very 3D. Like it's beyond 3D, but oh, we're gonna have this knife go. I mean, it's at the very beginning of the game. Go through your hand and like right at the screen. You know.
Yeah.
So I know there's things they did because of the VR that maybe they wouldn't have done.
Oh, I get you.
Anyway, and that some of that stuff bugs me in movies, so I don't know. It's not like they're doing it constantly, and it's not overdone or anything. I just noticed.
Actually, yeah, because there's a scene in one of the cutscenes. I think it's when you meet the family for the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the dude's about to like,
he's trying to jam something in your mouth.
Yeah, it's like the knife, and it's like, oh, that's a 3D movie effect right there.
Yeah. They've done that a couple times in the beginning. It's totally guilty of that crap, man.
Yeah, like he cuts you with the knife in your mouth. Like, what is he doing? Like, how are you not?
He's being a crazy son of a bitch.
Well, then they do the whole.
Well, they staple your hand
for a second round, and then the phone rings, and so the knife is just hovering in your face.
Yeah, so I think there's a few of those, like, hey, this is 3D moments, but I don't think anything really takes away. Other than I guess so far there's a couple where it takes control away from you moments so far, where it's like, all right, You're in this car now, and you're not doing anything. It's basically a cutscene. Maybe that would have been there without the VR. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I mean, games do that anyway. So, but other than that, I haven't come across anything where I was like, oh, they just did this just for VR. So that was one of my biggest fears. And so far I haven't seen doesn't seem to be true. So I'm glad I was wrong. So Robert, anything to add to that before we move to the next topic?
I just think that, like in terms of the VR, I feel like I guess you could say like they did strike a good balance, especially like you guys said, especially at the beginning. I could totally see like that's where you get the reactions of the VR, you know, the knife in the face and stuff like that. But other than that, like especially like where I'm at and stuff, there's nothing in terms of that. I actually can't think of one part where they go close up to your face and do something.
Yeah, after the beginning, I'd agree. Yeah.
I wonder if they could. If the PlayStation VR was like super high quality, I think it would be an amazing experience.
I've heard it is an amazing experience though. I mean, I wish I got to play the Resident Evil 7 demo in PlayStation VR, and it was cool, but like I didn't get to play like, you know, where you get to move around and stuff, because that is what I wanted to try out. I just
because it's the full game, right? It's the full. It's not just
the full game. The full game is in VR, but all I did was it was like sitting down in the living room or whatever, and then like they have a knife to your face and then they go to stab you.
Oh, that's so lame that's what they did.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of games, that's all the VR is. Like that's all they add was that, oh, here's this free DLC for VR, and or it's paid, and it's just a little separate piece has nothing to do with the game. So at least this is the full-fledged everything you play in the game you can play in VR. So I guess that's a good step forward. I think VR is already dead in the water. Maybe this game could help it out, but I think it's already dead in the water.
It's sadly, I think dead. But listen, I still want to get that Vive because holy crap!
But your TV, man, don't get something that'll be dead. Get your TV.
That's the thing is, next week I'm buying a TV.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll be getting the VR when it becomes. They have actually a wireless HTC Vive coming out. So I'll wait till that, and then when that price drops, and then that's when I'll get it.
I can't wait for you to have a huge TV like on your desk in your room there. I'm gonna come over and play and have my eyes blow up. I'm like, I gotta see this.
I had to play a few feet from my TV because I had to finish something in Gravity Rush, but my controller died, and I had the cord for the PlayStation, the DualShock, all wound, twisted up, so I only had about 2 feet of it available, even though it's only 5 feet long.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is how Robert wants to play. Like, no freaking way. There's the pixels, like you can just see everything.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to it, but that's how I love to play close up to my screen.
It's like sitting in front. Oh, it's like sitting in the front row in a movie theater, man, and looking straight up. That's
it's worse than that in a TV because of the
second row.
Oh, okay.
The movie theater doesn't have pixels like that. Like
true.
You can't see and maybe on 4K that's not an issue. But anyway,
we'll see next week. I'll tell you what it is.
Here's what I want to get my absolute final thought. 2 seconds about Resident Evil because I'm so happy with this. The reason I'm so in love with this game, so everyone can hear. There's 3 things I needed a new Resident Evil to do to succeed, I think. And they did it. They needed to make you play alone, which is the most important thing. You are one person. No stupid AI character is around with you. Get that crap out of here. They put you in one solitary, scary location. I don't want to travel the world and get in helicopters and planes. One scary house. They did that, and they brought back puzzles. They did all 3 of those things so perfectly, and that's why I think Resident Evil 7 is such a monumental success. And I had to get that one last gush moment out. I'm done. Right. Thank you.
Now that our Nintendo audience is asleep.
I know. Yes. I didn't plan on talking about Resident Evil for 30 minutes, but so we're gonna switch to that Zelda. We're gonna talk about some Zelda stuff real quick. I'm gonna set it up by pointing out something, and also, I guess I'll say Horizon Zero Dawn. Someone was on Twitter and making fun of the voice acting, and it was terrible. I ain't gonna lie, it was terrible. They went for realism, and it's Uncanny Valley. That's another thing. Resident Evil 7, that one girl's super Uncanny Valley. Like, so they got to stop trying to make people look real.
That's what people want, Juice. That's what all these kids want in their. It
just doesn't look right. And then they're doing multiple languages, so the voices don't match the lips movement. Anyway, there's a big not a big debate, but there was a little debate between me and AGL. Well, not really debate, but he's definitely against Horizon from what he's seen. I'm seeing some gameplay stuff that's got me excited, but that's a triple A game, right? That's a triple A. I would say that's easily a triple A.
Who makes it? Who makes it?
Guerrilla Games.
Guerrilla Games.
That's what ruined it for me. As long as I didn't know it was them making it, I was all hyped until I found out who was making it, and it just deflated me, man.
Come on, man, you gotta give him a chance.
I'm gonna give him a chance, but dude, Guerrilla Games just I was like, no, I didn't know it was them.
Here's the thing that I can, and I might not get it at launch just because Zelda comes out 3 days later, but the gameplay I've seen all looks good. Like every time I've seen someone actual doing the game, playing the game, doing the shooting, doing this or that looks great. The story, the dialogue, the cutscenes, all that stuff looks pretty bad to me. It always has. But every time I see someone playing it, like Ghost Robo, he's climbing aboard one of those giant giraffe-looking robot things, and that looked great. And then he's doing some shooting with bow and arrow and other stuff. I'm like, I'm hoping it's like Rise of the Tomb Raider. And he's talking about how well the character moves, and everything works great in the mechanics. So, but anyway, transition from that as a AAA game to Zelda, which is one of Nintendo's most expensive by far. Their biggest game they've ever made, and it was who was it? It was The Completionist. He got to interview Miyamoto and Aonuma, and he asked them about how they felt the game finally getting, finally done, and the journey and that development. And they were talking about from the very beginning stuff. One thing, and this was maybe 3 different interviews combined in my head here. One thing they said was they spent a year just making the tools so they could make the game. Like they spent a whole year developing creation tools so that they could make the game that they knew they wanted to make. So that's because they've never made a game this big and stuff. I'm sure other companies maybe wouldn't have had to do that. But the very thing they started with, and this stood out to me more than anything, was just a big open field, no grass, no textures, or minimal textures. And they put some stuff in there. They, made Link, obviously. And they just played around and found out if it was fun. Like, that was the thing. They said they just added some stuff, and then they'd play it. And, hey, is this fun? Like, that was the first step. And, Nintendo's always kind of started that way.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would just add things, and then add more, and then play it again. And then at one point, they stopped, like a couple years in, they'd stop. Everyone in the team had to play the game and play it extensively and give their feedback, and then they made changes and stuff. And like Meza T said off air, like that's totally organic. They created this game with an idea that they wanted to have an open world game, but they really didn't know what they were doing, so they just kind of kept adding stuff. And like they said, the physics engine, they added it the first time, but everything blew away from the wind. Like all the stuff wasn't where it was supposed to be.
That's so crazy.
Because and then sometimes things wouldn't move, so there's a lot of what do you call it? Learning, I guess. Trial and error.
Trial and error, yeah.
Yeah, and they start with 50 people on the team, and it ended up with over 300. So to me, those I got some other things, but just want to get your guys' take, hearing them say how they started with this game, into what we see now. I guess how we feel, or we don't know how other third parties do it, but a lot of us assume or feel like they make the beautiful game world first and then try to fill it with a game. So I guess we'll start with Meza T. What's your take on that stuff that I just went over?
I didn't hear a word of what you just now playing.
His mother.
I would have slapped you.
Someone digital slap me.
I'm out there with the digital slap.
Juice gonna lay a smack down.
You don't slap no man, by the way.
What 5 fingers say to the face? Slap.
I mean, that's the Nintendo difference. That is, they think like artists. They think organically. And that's why I love what they do. They think the way I think, which is not, the way I think most of the industry thinks. This is like, oh, well, we need this type of game. Make it. we need that type of game. Make it. They start playing around with gameplay ideas and the world and that stuff, and the game organically makes itself out of that, you know. And then they put it to a character, or maybe they create a new character like they did with Splatoon. Splatoon was supposed to be like a Mario sports title, and it became you know, Splatoon. So and then squids and all that stuff instead of Mario characters. So and that's just it. That's just the Nintendo difference. I don't think, you know, the industry, most of the industry works that way. I think a lot of indie guys do, because that's just kind of what you have to do on that level. But yeah, most of the industry is like, oh, we need this type of game. This game sold well. Let's make that type of game, you know, and they work from that. So
yeah, I think that's pretty fair. And I'm glad you said the Nintendo difference, because that was something I was thinking earlier today, and I forgot to kind of start with that. But let's go to Leveled next. Hearing that again, that they've been working on the game and the way they started, I mean, does it change anything about how you feel about it? And do you agree with T, like that's the Nintendo difference? Or?
Yeah, you know, that's one of my slogans is that Nintendo magic, man. I was really taken away when Numa said he had left from playing the game and came back and saw that all the stuff was blew away. That stood out to me, and said he had to retweak, I guess, the physics to where it didn't, I guess the wind didn't blow that hard or blow that unpredictably. So, but as far as did it change how I felt about the game? I won't say that, because I don't think nothing can change how I feel about the game. I think, dude, March 3rd can't get here fast enough. I'm just glad that, as I believe that all these rumors that everybody was running with was wrong, came to be just that, wrong. So, but I am impressed about how Nintendo and Aonuma and Miyamoto and others approach how they make games, the details and the aspects of the game that may go unconcerned or noticed with maybe other developers. I won't say that factually because I don't know, but it seems like Nintendo just approached their games totally, absolutely different. And like with Mario 64, like the way that they just seamlessly transitioned into 2D to 3D, where Sega and other companies was trying to do it and just was not able to. Nintendo just went right into it, understood that, okay, if we really gonna do this, we're gonna need 3D analog and all that. They it's like they really think through what they're doing. They just don't do it and say, hey, y'all deal with it and we improve it as we go. It was almost perfected from the first game that you played on the N64. And it seems like that's what Nintendo does that other companies and other developers don't do. So, yeah, it made me appreciate them a little bit more. But as far as Zelda, I was too hyped for that anyway. So, the music alone got me, man.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and I'm glad that was a great point, because until this Zelda, they've still been doing basically the Ocarina of Time. They got it right the first time. The first 3D Zelda, and they were still basically copying that up until this one. Finally, they've decided to change.
I want to make the quick point is that that doesn't mean that the game is going to be good.
No,
you could be spending 4 years experimenting and completely throw away everything you did because it didn't go anywhere. So that is a risky way to make games. And I want people to know that. People just think, oh, they just do this and it's, you know, that's it. Of course it's going to sell. Of course it's going to be good. That doesn't always work out. You know, that is a risky way to make games.
You got to have
the right talent for it. Right?
It's a funny coincidence you bring that up too, because we were talking about Resident Evil earlier, and that's exactly what happened with Resident Evil 4. They went through 4 different versions of that game that they built very close to completion before they had to scrap it just for that reason, because it just wasn't good. And then they had to redo it until they got it right.
Yeah, so another thing I want to throw in here, they said that they had a small team they spent 4 years on the horses, the animations, the behaviors, and the rest of the animals in the game. Like you see the wild animals behaving more naturally. So
how long did they spend?
4 years.
Damn, they did
obviously
that
they had
a year after they finished Skyward Sword, man.
Yeah, obviously they had the time. If they had the game, you know, if they had tried to rush it out or something, they would have had to cut that short. Yeah. But that, I mean, that's a good point, T, that it didn't guarantee it was going to be good, making it that way. And that's why they said they came back and they had the entire team at that point this huge team and made everyone play through and give everyone's feedback was taken into consideration before they moved forward after they took a break. So,
did you bring this up, T? How the Switch version they started, I think, last year?
Oh yeah, I forgot to bring that.
That messed me up too. The fact that when they decided to make the Switch version, they have gotten it to this place within a year. That really says how easy it is to get things up and running on the Switch. So that's another testament to Nintendo and how they do things.
Right before the announcement is when they decided that it was going to come to the Switch. So it'd have been curious if it could have made 2016 if it was Wii U only. We'll never know. But so Robert, what's your take? Hearing some insight like that into this development, let me ask you this: does it help you feel better about how long it's taken for this game to come out now?
Oh well, I mean, for me, it's like waiting so long. It's like, damn, it needed to be so close. But just to hear like these details, it's so cool. And I wish, even though I know we're not ever gonna get that, they should have like behind the scenes videos and see how it looked at step 1 and how it looked on step 2 and how it looked at step 133. You know what I mean? Like that would be super.
That would be cool.
Yeah, you ain't never see that.
Yeah, you'll never. Yeah, they never show
you that.
But that'd be so cool to see. I would love to see that because, like, they even I think it was Miyamoto that was saying that the staff kept going up and up and up and up. So it's like they kept getting these more people on board to just make this one game, and how long it took, and it just super cool development kind of things that we never see, but I want to see. Like I want to see what it is, but we can't.
Yeah, how many studios would have been like, no, you're adding too much to the budget, blah blah blah, give up on this, or just cut it off there, and it would have been
like I was saying, just talking about budget, it still only needs to sell 2 million copies to be profitable.
Right. Even after all that 4 years of development, and it just needs to sell 2 million copies.
And it's going to destroy that number, by the way.
For sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone that's picking up a Switch is going to pick up Breath of the Wild. I mean,
and there are still a lot of people that'll be like, oh, since I'm waiting on my Switch or I can't get a Switch because they're reserved out, I'm buying it on Wii U.
I'll get the
a lot
Wii
of people
version,
say that too.
And I mean, I can't sit here. I'm not going to sit here and criticize somebody that has a Wii U and says, like Doc Trey's trying to be like, oh, why wait for a Switch? Well, if you have a Wii U and Zelda's your big game, really, I mean, I can't say someone's wrong for buying the Wii U version and waiting to get the Switch because a lot of the games.
No, they've been waiting on that game for 4 years.
Yeah, totally. I don't think that's weird at all.
Basically, up until ARMS, which we don't have a release date, I say May. You really don't have a true exclusive other than like maybe snipper clips. So
which
I mean,
technically comes out on. I think apparently it might come out on launch, which is strange.
I hope so,
Snipper
or maybe by the
that's
end
in
of
March.
It says
by
March.
the end.
It says March.
And
but-
so is Bomberman is day one. That's exclusive. Fast RMX is exclusive. But I mean, yeah, Zelda's the game. Zelda's the game.
Yeah, I was up until Aonuma announced that there was going to be any gamepad stuff, which they did work on, by the way. They were working on that. And
that was another thing.
Which is sad. But until they did that, I was going to get the Wii U version regardless. So
yeah.
And Leveled, I know when I did your podcast last, I was hoping K-Bomb and D2K would be on because they're not, Zelda guys. I was going to ask them a question. And, for anyone that
K-Bomb actually is really interested in this this new Zelda.
That was kind of the point I was going to try to get to, was to the people that for years, I'm just not into Zelda. I just, never been a big Zelda fan. From what I've seen, I don't know how anyone could still say that because I'm looking for maybe a little more. There should be a little bit more Zelda. I'm not seeing a whole lot of actual Zelda in Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? Like
what
I know
typical
to be Zelda.
gameplay Zelda.
I don't think we have seen enough. Like I think Nintendo has been very smart with how you would think by all the stuff they allowed us to see with the Great Plateau. And it really hasn't exposed us to much of anything. Like, and for this much to be already out there, we can watch it as much as we want to watch it, and we still know little to nothing. Because, like you said, Terminator Juice, it doesn't resemble what we are typically used to with Zelda. It's amazing to me, man. I really like kind of scared, like it's just gonna be too daunting for me. You know, like it's gonna be too much. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I will say, man, if there was a critique, and I think this is only for preference, is I believe that gamepad was very much in mind when they were first making this game, and
I'm confirmed that it was.
Yeah, they did in that article, and I wish that was still available, but outside of that, it looks like it's gonna be a great game, man. And I don't think anybody with any gamer sense could write off Breath of the Wild. I think that's why so many people are upset, is the fact that it is such a great game and they weren't expecting it to be that great. So I think a lot of the hate is coming from there.
With all we've seen, we've probably seen like 10% of this game, man.
Right.
Less than that, probably.
Probably,
yeah.
I'm trying to, do a higher number. I wanted to say 5.
We haven't seen a dungeon. We haven't seen any other land outside of, well, we've seen bits and pieces, but we don't know what's actually in there to explore. Yep. There's a lot about this game we really just don't know about. And I don't know if y'all picked it up when they was showing the fact, you can save your horses and I guess a born or whatnot,
stable and stuff.
Did you read the text that it was saying about talking about this royal horse that you might need to find? Did y'all catch that?
I didn't, but I know exactly who that horse is referred to.
Yeah, and it was I know who it was. I'm like, everybody's like, "Is no Aponia?" And then I was like, "Dude, did y'all not read the text right there?"
Because I was really
showing us too much.
That's one of the Zelda things I was really sad about. I was like, wait a minute, you can ride any horse? I want Epona.
Yeah.
And that's
like you don't know yet.
Yeah, well, it kind of revealed that I think that's what they was alluding to.
Yeah.
So let's go to the least Zelda fan here, Terrell. I know I've asked this before. Let's get your take on how they developed the game, and then also again, I'm sure I asked this already as someone who's never been huge into Zelda.
You ask me every time we have a Zelda conversation.
But just for the people listening and stuff. But first, what did you think of all that stuff about the development? Obviously it's Nintendo. As a Nintendo fan, you're probably not surprised, but what's your take on it?
Well, no, it's just a nerd thing for me. It's interesting to look inside game design and see how they develop their games. It's kind of like when I went and looked at there was a few videos about how Super Mario 3D World was made and how it's like a 4-step process for each level where you introduce a concept and then you do like a small spin on it and then you do a more exaggerated spin and then you do like this final climax at the end of it. It's like I like learning those kind of things because it's an interesting look in how you're developing levels. And people think that the hardest games to make are like the gritty action games, but the hardest games to make are games that appeal to every type of player, where like certain games can only work with certain like skill levels, but to make a game that works with all skill levels is completely different. So just learning the cool ins and outs of them dealing with like major physics engines and very smart AI, that kind of stuff, just on a technical level, is just cool to me. And then you add in the Nintendo factor, and it's like, wow, that's interesting. So yeah, I thought all that was cool.
And I forgot to mention the Nintendo Minute a few weeks ago did the 5 favorite things about Zelda with Miyamoto and Aonuma, and that was really interesting.
I'm willing to bet that their number one answer was all the money they get to make when that game's out.
I think it was God, I forget what the first one was. Just maybe the world itself. I don't know if that was number one to them. But just hearing them, they were involved in this game, and you could just tell the true excitement that they have playing the game and the pride, obviously, that they made the game. But I thought that was a pretty cool thing. Of course, they added a 6th one, and Anuma's like, Zelda's pretty cute too.
Really?
We've all been thinking that since Skyward Sword, man.
So who hasn't given their opinion on this?
I think just me, actually.
All right. So if you want to add anything.
It's really just like agreeing, like everyone talked about, like the Nintendo difference, and like T and Leveled, you guys brought that stuff up, which is so obviously true. And it's just nice to hear, like, from the inside, behind the scenes at Nintendo, like kind of how they've made their biggest game. And I think you also brought up the idea of like the way they described it, just creating this big field and then putting stuff in it and then figuring it out, almost like the game makes itself. I like that because it shows the organicness of like the game almost telling the game makers how the game needs to be made.
Sure.
And Nintendo are the kind of folks that'll like listen to that. It's kind of like a hippie sort of like Zen-like sort of approach to thinking about it, but it makes sense and it feels like it falls in line with how we know Nintendo probably makes their games. And like Juice, when you talk about, Aonuma and Miyamoto being so excited when they talk about it, that's something that like when I hear that or when I see that in an interview, it's like, those are the guys I want making video games. Like people who have that kind of passion and feeling and fun. And if they'll just smile talking about video games, like watch any E3 or PAX or anyone's interviews at Gamescom and all these developers and like great people who are really talented that make games I love. But there's something different when you see those guys like straight-faced and serious about their games. But then the Nintendo guys come on and they're having a good time and they're smiling because they get to make these great games.
Yeah.
It's like those are the people I want behind game development. So it's just awesome to hear, man.
Like the God of War head producer guy who's like he's like mad at a question that someone asked him about the game.
Yeah, it's like, or calm your ass down because you're making God of War and people love you. So just be happy.
There's something I've noticed about it, and I'd like to get y'all opinion. When Nintendo put their mind in something, they really shock folks. Like that trailer for January 12th, that last trailer for Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best trailer we've seen for a game ever. I don't think no other game has been presented that well in the trailer, like capturing the mood. Like it really took Zelda into a whole, Zelda and Link and all of it into a whole nother dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was done better than those who been doing it for a while now. I haven't seen a trailer capture me like that, like to the point that the music, the way that they captured each scene, the way that Zelda and Link interacted, the storytelling, everything was like, dude, we really don't know what's about to go down, man. This thing is about to be real.
That's a great point because
go ahead.
I was just gonna say a lot of these, Sony's got a movie studio and they have movie trailers and all this and that, and Nintendo comes out of nowhere and just makes the best video game trailer and one of the best trailers of all time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, who did they hire somebody, or is this the new Nintendo? Like, is this what they're capable of, or did they hire somebody?
That's what I was gonna say. Building off of even what like you were saying, Leveled and Juice. Like, not only is it like I think the best trailer ever made for a video game, it's so uncharacteristic of Nintendo. Like it felt so different from them in a great way, in a very great way. Like
put that in front of a movie like Logan or something, like a big movie coming out around that time.
Yeah, they should.
Like,
they so should.
The build up alone, like how they started off, you standing there looking over the scenery, man, and it swoops around, and then all of a sudden, it's like Nintendo's like, no, let's not just throw them right into it. Let's build up, and then let's hit them. All of a sudden, they start showing the gameplay, and he got the magnet, and he turning the magnet around, and he jumping on the ice, but I'm getting chills talking about this crap.
Dude, I got
it was retarded, man.
After the last podcast, like I hadn't watched the trailer since Robert. I was at your house like 2 weeks ago, and you showed me the English version. And the last podcast, Juice, you talked about how they should put this in like movie theaters before movies, like it's that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. And as soon as the podcast was done, I was like, I need to watch the trailer again. It's been like a week and a half, and I put it on my big TV and my sound system up so much, like it almost brought me to tears. I was like, I can't. Juice was so right. This thing should be like the White House should be playing this thing. Like it's so freaking incredible. I thought it was great.
Well, that's the thing is that
Terrell's been trying to say something for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry, man.
I feel like it's a culmination of everything we've seen within like the last 2 years of Zelda. Because I mean, think about it. When this game was properly shown off, and we got that full blowout at E3, it was like, man, are they showing too much? There's a lot of this game all over the internet. And then as the time goes on, even when we hit like the Game Awards and we're getting sequences, we're like, well, that looks completely different. Then you start hearing the stuff about the AI for the horses and shit. And then it all culminates to, you think you know what you're about to get into. And then at the very end of the 12th Direct, it dropped the trailer and it's like, don't ever question what we're about to do here. And I feel like that needs to be the final. Like, I don't want to see no more trailers.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how Anuma is. That's kind of how Anuma's demeanor, body language, like the facial expressions, like we are totally confident when it comes to this one. I showed it to my brother, who was kind of like he a Nintendo person, but the Wii U put a bad taste in his mouth. The games like these just to him didn't come, and he bought it on my word. And like, man, he even told me today, man, you really on the Switch now, huh? I was like, yeah, man, I'm on the Switch. But he saw the Zelda trailer. I put it up on my Facebook, and I was like, man, any gamer would understand how I feel right now. He was the first one jumped on there. Was like, dude, I'm going crazy over this trailer, man.
I'm curious about non-gamers, like movie fans, if they saw like some of the big movie review YouTube channels, like if they saw this trailer and judged it as a trailer, not for a video game, but just as the way it was shot and edited, and like it gets tense, and then Link's standing up, and then it cuts to the logo. It was just like perfect. Like,
no, well, that's the thing is, remember I was saying that my grandparents said, "Don't play games, watch this," and we're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like, and they were like, "Wow!" It's like, when can I watch it? I'm like, "No, it's a game." And then they're like,
"You can watch it on March 3rd and watch me play it in my room."
It's
for 200 hours.
It's great.
And guess what? It's only 32 days away.
Like, let me just say that it really is one of those. It's one of those trailers that, to me, for sure, honestly, probably is the best trailer I've ever seen ever. It's so incredible, and it's the only one that literally did. I did cry, man. There was one part
I
where
teared up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like
it's impossible not to.
It's crazy because like there's when I blast with the sound system and stuff, and just like with oh my god, it's just so incredible. And like it gets to you, and like you said, the shots, when they let go of their hands, and then you just see like him, like the camera zooming away from him. It's like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, what is happening? It's so incredible, and I absolutely love that trailer.
It builds up so perfectly.
Like you said, everything about this game is pretty much very un-Nintendo like what you're used to getting from them. And like I think I read that Koji Kondo isn't making music for this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he hasn't made any music for this one, which is bananas. Like he's made music.
I think the Animal Crossing guy's making the music for this one.
It's crazy. Like he's made music for Zelda games from the beginning. Like he's made some of the best, the best music in video games to me.
Well,
and to hear that he hasn't made any music for this game, or he at least is not the lead composer, is crazy.
It doesn't hurt to, doesn't always help though, but to give it some fresh set of ears, and because that score,
the music is already amazing. Like this is a great score, and that's what's like it's courageous. That is them taking a chance because they could have easily just said, Kondo, make the music again, This is them kind of stepping out of their box, which is pretty cool, man.
They've definitely elevated themselves with this game. That trailer, if that's any indication as to the cutscenes we're in for, like, oh man, it's not what I was expecting for sure.
It has to be, and like so much about this game from what we saw gameplay wise and what the trailer showed us and all this stuff, it feels like it's taken the blueprint from Skyward Sword, right, in a lot of ways, and taken that into this like monumentally huge, bigger achievement. And like that game was so cinematic, people forget, and I feel like it doesn't even get enough credit for that. Like that's actually a criminally underrated game. And like one of the best things about it was how they incorporated really good like cutscenes with like pretty strong emotion. And I feel like they're taking that to like the 1 millionth level. Like what they started with Skyward Sword, that game specifically, and they're taking that to the next level with this game. And that, as a huge fan of Skyward Sword, that makes me really, really happy. Like I'm expecting like a movie cutscene for like 20 minutes that I can just put my controller down and just be like, oh yeah, I gotta make a sandwich. I can't wait to see what happens to Link. I'm like so ready for that.
I do hope that some of the flashback stuff, like 100 years ago, like I hope you get to play some of that.
Is that confirmed to be flashback though? I know people have theorized. Do we know? Has Nintendo confirmed it?
here's what happened 100 years ago, and then it cuts to all that stuff, and it's all
Well, yeah, I
cinematics
remember
at
when
that
he
point.
said that. Yeah, I guess
There's
I wasn't quite sure.
There's no gameplay shown after that.
After he says that, yeah.
So
cool.
We'll see.
I believe like some of the what we saw in that trailer was before the beginning. Like that's going to take place. Like some of the like Link arm being damaged. The situation with Zelda. I think all that is going to take place before you are in the resurrection chamber. You're going to.
Yeah,
it kind of had like a filter over it, like it was like a memory or something.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah. And then someone accessed the menu at the Switch event, and it has Link's memories.
Oh, the memories, yeah.
And it had just question mark, like there was 100 of them or something, and they were none of them were filled in. So I'm wondering if all that is, like I said, is that flashback, or can you actually control and play like in the past, like 100 years ago?
Well, let me ask you guys this, which for most of us, Terrell, you wouldn't be able to answer as well, but for most of us who've been playing Zelda for a really long time, would you guys be happy or upset if there was more time travel in this game? Because that's something I've wondered about. I'd be excited, actually, but I'm curious what you guys.
That'd be fine with me.
Okay.
I mean, it's not something I need, but if they did it,
I actually think it's a great aspect to the game because it kind of makes Zelda be more than what it is. Like, okay, how far can they go with this? If they time traveling and they got this type of technology and things going on back then or in the setting that they have, it brings a nuance to it to me.
Yeah, because like, what if part of the whole thing with like playing the memories, like you say, Joseph, what if you actually play through some of that stuff? What if it's not so much that Link is remembering it? What if there's a reason to use the Temple of Time? I mean, this is going to be set in a world where the Temple of Time does exist. So would it be crazy for them to bring that back? I don't think so. I could see some people being like, oh God, time travel in the Temple of Time again, here we go. But like, if they did it, I'd be like, bring it on. Like, I would love it. So I was curious what you guys would think.
All right. Yeah, let's save the Zelda theories and stuff for closer to launch, because we got to still get onto another pretty main topic. But yeah, just super excited. And I will just getting back to the whole Horizon voice acting thing. I think that's one of the big problems with a lot of the AAA open world games is they think they got it. Once you make the rule that every NPC has to talk, every side quest has to have voice acting, and it's just you're just going to get bad voice acting at that point. There's no way they're all going to be good. And so I like that they confirmed like all the cinematics are all voice acted. Some of the characters outside of cinematics are voice acted, but a lot of the side quests and stuff are going to be text bubbles, which I think is a good compromise. I'd rather have that than terrible voice acting for some random NPC on a side quest. So,
well, the problem with Horizon and games like Horizon is that they focus on hyper realisms or realistic graphics, and you equate that to be with a realistic world, and then to have somebody you're like, yo, that totally takes you out of it. Where other games could get away with it bad, because we were talking about this earlier, like with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, it's an anime, style game, and it can get away with that because of the visual, aesthetic to it, where a realistic or wannabe realistic looking game can't. And to me, that's the difference. So.
Yeah. All right. So, this is a hot topic item here, and I think Leveled had the first video I seen addressing it, and that's the double standards in gaming right now, the community. And I made a video about the controller prices, and I'm just shocked by still seeing people say the things people are saying. Like, it just amazes me, and I guess I'm not surprised, but it's just it's sad, it's pathetic, and it's just the double standards. I broke up with a girl who her whole life philosophy was double standards, one after the other, and it's just like I don't understand how people don't
that's
feel
women in general, bro.
Yeah, and to an extent, there's a couple of
sorry, women,
but that's definitely for all the women listeners. Maybe that I don't think that's 100% true. But
in marriage,
lady,
preference in marriage, it is true. It's definitely true.
You're a married man, so you can say that.
Oh yeah, she in the other room, and she heard me say it, she would argue because she knows it's true. Anyway, let me stop.
So let's start first with the big thing, the Switch price. Like, and we're all getting the Switch. We're Nintendo fans, but just looking outside of the Nintendo fan, I cannot believe that that's an issue for a brand new console launching. And obviously people are, trolls and stuff, but there's a lot of majority of people who still say that this thing's too expensive. It doesn't come with a game for the price. And Leveled, you brought up the developers Platinum and Bandai Namco. I thought there was a third one. They were
Capcom.
shocked by how low Nintendo got the price of the system, having been developing on the system. I mean, everybody raves about the screen. The thing's literally about 40% the size of the gamepad, and it has all that power and stuff into less than half of a gamepad. And people don't understand that when you shrink things, they get more expensive as far as game, processing power and stuff. And is it really that it's too expensive in their mind, or is it that it's Nintendo? I mean, obviously that's probably the answer, but it goes with
that's easily the answer.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
This is my problem with it, and I kind of said this in my video, man. People run with the assumptions of others and make these assumptions and beliefs be fact, and then when it doesn't live up to
talking about the rumored
fact,
price.
Yeah, like you listen to podcast after podcast, website after website. Yes, Emily Roger and Lord Tate Dale or whoever else. Oh, it's going to be $250. Then it's not $250. What is Nintendo doing? This is like the Vita was not $250. The Vita wasn't $250. Yeah. This thing is the most powerful handheld. Okay, let's just look at it from this angle. If you just want to focus on the portable aspect of it, this is the most powerful gaming mobile portable system ever made. How are you going to say $299 is too much when 4 or 5 years ago you couldn't believe the Vita was $299?
Yeah, and you had to buy a $40 memory card just to use it.
Right, and it's like no other company, and I don't mean to take over Terminator Juice, but this irks me, man. No other company has a pack-in game. No other company. Nintendo gives you a few systems with a pack-in game, and then they choose not to this time because it's not lucrative for them to do so. Oh, Nintendo's making a bad decision because they're not packing the game in. What are they thinking? Like, what was Sony thinking when they didn't pack in a game? What was Microsoft thinking? What was any other company thinking?
Every console.
It's retarded, man. It's just stupid to me. I don't get it.
Well, here's the thing. First, I agree.
Everybody wants to get in on this one.
I forgot to bring up the rumored price. Everyone had kind of set in their mind it was $250, even though I never believed that. The other thing is that the PS4, Xbox One currently come with games, and a lot of people can't separate the launching of a new system versus 3-year-old plus systems that now come with games. Like the Wii U now comes with, Mario Kart 8 and Mario Maker, whatever bundles they had for $300. So
only now they can't separate it. They can separate it when their favorite console launches.
Yeah, when it's convenient.
Right. It's so lame, man.
Terrell, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, the fact that I like when Level brought up the packing game argument, because the one thing that pisses me off about the 1-2 switch situation is half of the people who were talking about that should have been a packing game are the same people who don't give a fuck about the game in general. Yeah, those are the same people who sat there in the presentation and went, man, this is some Wii Motion bullshit. Get through the games, Nintendo. And then after the thing was over, and you went, it's not a packing game. What are you doing? You didn't want the game regardless. So what's the problem? You would have just complained about, I bet you the cost is $300 because they put 1-2 switch in.
Exactly.
What kind of man?
And this is what they also would have said, Terrell. Man, Nintendo, they ain't going with that kitty stuff again, man. Nobody want this casual crap. Like, but now you mad they're not putting that casual crap in the box. Oh, now they didn't put the casual crap in the box. Nintendo, what are you doing, man?
Oh my God.
That's going to sell to everyone. That's what's going to do. Like, it's hypocritical, man.
I hate
that. The last non-Nintendo home console that launched for $300 or less was the PS2. Think about that. This console is launching for $300 in 2017. Like,
Right.
come on, that's it. End of story. No more conversation.
And it's new freaking tech. Like none of these people will ever give that any sort of thought of day. But there's brand new tech no one's ever used in this thing, and you get something that has a screen on it. Like you get that with the console. No one even considers that, man.
And
go ahead. My bad.
shit. Now I just lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Too much yelling.
Oh, okay. What I was going to say is I'm not so much I don't really worry about the ones on YouTube saying this stuff. It's major websites and major podcasts. Like I follow this podcast of Gamer Tag Radio. And one of the individuals on there, I don't know, I won't say his name just to be fair to you. He always says that this is just too expensive. And I almost called in and asked, where are you getting your information from? Where are you drawing this stance from that this is too expensive? Did you make the system?
See,
did you design the controller? Did you spend your money on it to so how can you say what is too expensive or is it too expensive? I don't get it. I really just don't.
Components and how much they cost. Like, you know what is in the box.
Right.
Not to mention, I know there are so many people who have that attitude and say stuff like that who bought an Xbox One on launch day for $500. $500
with the device in it.
Here's my question: people are saying the 250 would have been the sweet spot. So you tell me $50 is causing all of this outrage?
Yeah,
it's not even like 100. You ain't like you going from 300 to 400.
It makes a difference. Sadly, it makes a difference to
really $50. You spend that on the game at launch anyway.
Not just $50. $5 more for a Pro controller.
Oh yeah.
And look at this.
Man.
Sony is charging you $5 more for a different color.
Yeah, and
for a different color.
Hold up, $5 more.
Man.
Hey, wait. And
it's charging $5 more. You charging? Oh, go ahead, my bad.
No, I was gonna say was the consoles now still cost $65. I mean, the controller still cost $65 in the store.
The standard black controller.
That's the 2.0 DualShock. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's the standard black controller.
2.0.
To get a different color, you have to pay $5 more. Like the standard is $59.99. If you want a yellow or blue or green or whatever, you got to pay $5 more. Nintendo give you revolutionary technology, and it's not worth $5.
They want a discount. They want a discount on that.
But I bet if it was a different color, okay, now that makes sense. It's like, dude, y'all weirdos, man.
We said, iPod Touch, which is graphically nowhere near the Switch, there's ones that are out there that are $300. The iPod Touch, and by the time that I think the Switch gets all its updates and all that stuff, it'll be able to do most of like you'll be able to do the Netflixes and all that stuff that your iPod Touch can do.
Sure.
And obviously, it's a Nintendo console, and it's, to me, this is really cheap. I mean, you got a console with new tech in it, with a beautiful screen on it from all accounts. It has all this cool tech in it.
And then it comes with local multiplayer out of the box.
Right,
but you guys, it doesn't come with 1-2 switch, so it's a really bad deal, and no one should buy it.
I bet a ruler too. I bet if they put a touchpad on it, it would have been worth it.
Oh, sure.
Nintendo makes
they would have put a touchpad. Like, what does PlayStation 4 touchpad really do? You paying for it and you don't even use it. But
it's actually in Gravity Rush 2, you can press on either the right corner or the left corner, and it does two different things. So it's actually some extra buttons. But
it's really just buttons, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really.
It's not what they said it was going to be.
Yeah, you could use the D-pad for the same functions, really.
Well, you know what the touchpad was for. The touchpad was for if the gamepad took off, so they had an easy.
Right. Yeah. We know.
If it did well.
So let me.
I'm paying for the useless tech. I don't want to pay for that. What do I do?
What about the light?
That light on the back?
Yeah,
why am I paying for that? I don't want to.
Give me a traditional DualShock.
What if you get lost?
So. A few things, there's still people going to say, it's too expensive. Which it's just stupid that what is her name from IGN? She did the unboxing for the Zelda.
Alana Pierce, right?
Alana Pierce.
Yeah.
And on her YouTube videos, separate from IGN, because she said it's mostly because they don't pay her shit and she doesn't have much money. She was hoping for $150 with the Switch. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then she goes,
"That's she's confusing the Switch with an Xbox One Elite controller."
Yeah, and then she goes, and at the end she's like, "I'd totally get one if IGN paid me some money because she's like, I don't make that much with all my bills and stuff." So it was about the money that she doesn't have. But I'm like, I would slap her if she has a PS4 Pro. I would freaking punch her in the face for saying that. But
if it's one she bought with her own money, I would say, because maybe she got a PS4 for work and whatever.
But still, to even say that, that's just so ignorant. But the PlayStation Vita is still over $200. Maybe it comes with a memory card now. I don't know.
How much is it?
The 3DS is $200. The
new 3DS are still $199. You can't have this Switch console with the dock with 2 Joy-Cons be only $50
There's
more.
so much more than $100 worth of stuff with the Switch compared to the 3DS. Like, that's crazy. $100 difference.
So let's talk about, we already touched on the controller stuff, and there's Xbox One controllers with like custom game design. Like, it's just plastic with I don't know if it's a sticker or not. There's like a Halo or a Gears 4 one. There's a Titanfall 2 one. Those are $80 to $90. Just standard controllers with color schemes. But here's the thing. I already made my video about the battery stuff. People still want to say, well, I can get an Xbox One controller for $40. Like, what? First of all, where? Because that's cheap as
used with a missing button.
And
a third-party used one is what they're talking about.
And then I'm like, what about the batteries? Oh, you can get those cheap. Where? Show me. Like, it ends there.
But it's that whole we're in 2017. We shouldn't be doing all this old stuff. The handhelds for Nintendo products stopped using batteries after the Game Boy Advance.
Dude, if anyone uses actual freaking store-bought batteries as a defense, just imagine if the Switch took batteries. You think they would say the same thing?
I'm not saying
a great deal. I can put batteries in my Switch. No, they would be raving about
Sega
it.
Game Gear, son.
Yeah, you gonna sit here and argue, the PlayStation 4 is a better controller. Yeah, but it has like a 10-hour battery charge compared to Joy-Cons.
Oh, man.
What, for the light? The light takes up the other 5 hours.
It's missing the headphone jack. I'll give that.
That's $5. Fuck it.
But here's the thing. Remember that podcast a while back where we were yelling at Robert and he was getting a little emotional because he said he didn't care about a $10 price increase to PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
People are crying about $5-10 more for a controller that's going to last you for years.
Yeah, it's a controller.
And they're just gladly pay $10 extra a year for PlayStation Plus. And guess what was down all weekend? And I couldn't do the stuff I wanted to do in Gravity Rush.
Really?
Every time I tried to do one of the challenges online or share a photo for have people judge it online, nope, this service is unavailable under maintenance all weekend long.
The whole weekend.
What the fuck?
Saturday and Sunday for sure. I don't know.
I didn't even know that.
So it's like,
I'm glad I ain't pay for this.
I mean, $10 more for the same service where they give you, there's no benefit there, and it's like, I don't want things to be more expensive, but guess what? That's what happens with inflation. The Switch is actually on par with the Wii when you take into account of inflation from 2006. It's like a $4 difference. So it's just. But yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, we've been angry, man. We've been screaming, hooting and hollering.
It just pisses me off.
Irked. We're all irked like level set.
You can't sit here and have all these double standards for Nintendo and you sitting there spending extra money on PSN and no one yells at Sony when the fucking service goes down every other week.
You're a fraud. You're a fraud.
But you can't spend the extra $5 or $10 on a controller. What?
My problem, like I said, man, with me, it ain't even the ones coming from them camps. It's the ones that claim to be, like I have my frustrations with Nintendo, y'all know, but it irks me when I see people running with things that have no context, no facts, no anything, and but they make a video and they saying this is the case based on what some woman you don't know on Twitter tweeted, and get mad when it's not the reality. That just, I don't know. That just bothers me, man.
Yeah, it's like you're the ones that's supposed to. I said this in my journalism video. You're the ones that's supposed to have the credibility. You're the journalist. Why are you following these people who have no credentials? I still don't know these people's credentials. Like, why
they're
are
still saying? OJ's still
these
saying
people?
that Laura Kate predicted the Joy-Cons and a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, when? Like, where's the proof? Like, a bunch of other stuff? What? Like,
it's the articles that were on her site that she had up for him.
And it was like 40 minutes before she knew the length of
it was like a few days.
No. Well, I don't pay attention to her anyway.
It took me a minute because I had to like find the credentials. Like for Emily Rogers, she's actually she was a developer on the Wii U. I think I want to say Armillo. I might be wrong, but I know it's on one of those games, and then she used to be a journalist before that. But
that's good to know, because I've wondered
they're both known. They're both known in the industry for different things. Emily Rogers isn't as known as Laura Kate Dale. She just. But that was
we're talking about.
What I'm saying is, why do these people have more access than gaming journalists?
Well, if
like how
credentials are real, I feel like they might know someone. Like,
that's
possible.
Mic. That's a big mic.
Yeah,
is a big one.
It all depends. That's what it is. It all depends.
I don't want to spend more time on these people.
Well, I'll just say, stop treating them like they sovereign, man. I mean, everything they say is not the gospel
it's
truth.
Because people run with it, and you get a lot of views, Level, if you talk about them. All right.
Yeah, you do.
If I want the YouTube money, I gotta mention the names. I want the.
I got nothing against these people. I'm just saying I don't like the system that's been set up here.
Mm-hmm.
So how we get information.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, the abuse of it. It's just, it got abusive. After a while, it's just pure abuse.
Like
but anyway, like you said, let's not harp on this.
Let's talk about some more double standard stuff. So it's crazy to me. Like you said, no game in the box. Where Nintendo's done it 4 times. One you had to pay more for, the Wii U with Nintendo Land. You paid $50 more. It's not. It's definitely not the. What's that saying? Where it happens less than it happens more. There's a.
It's not the norm.
Yeah. There's like an expression, but
anomaly.
No, I was just like
the exception to the rule.
Yeah, that's the one. Coming with a packing game at launch is the exception to the rule. The rule is, for the most part,
no game
doesn't come with the game. So the fact that people are just pointing this out for the Switch when PS4 $400 no game, PS4 Pro $400 no game, Xbox $500 no game, and a Kinect
PS3.
PS3
and with Spider-Man movie.
That's right.
What about that? With $600, it needed to come with
it better come.
It came with Spider-Man 3, the one that nobody wanted anyway.
Right.
It was Sony's movie, though.
They were saying with 1-2 Switch that Nintendo should have put that in the box because it shows off the tech, right? I'm like, well, I don't remember Sony showing off DVD, Blu-ray. I don't remember them having a game made for Move that they put in the box so that you can get an understanding of the tech that they are trying to introduce you to. So
those are only Nintendo rules, man.
Yeah, it's only when Nintendo blesses you, kindly gives you something for free to, because of how they do things sometimes, you just come to hold them prisoner to a gift.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good expression.
It's like if you expect a bonus at work for a few years and then they tell you, hey, if we don't have good enough profits, you're not going to get a bonus. And then people get mad when we don't get one. And it's like, you shouldn't have expected it. Like, it's a bonus. Like,
that's why it's called a bonus.
Exactly. That's how I feel about a package.
Yeah, it's not an obligation. It's a bonus.
Like, I would have bought my PS4 for $213 without Uncharted 4, but it came with it for no additional charge. That's a bonus to me. I wasn't buying it for that, but the whole then they say, well, for that price it should have more storage. I mean, if you look at
let me ask you this: when Nintendo did the bundle that came with Splatoon and Smash Brothers for holiday, like, how much was that? Does anyone remember?
$299.
Yeah, it was $299.
$300.
So $300. So someone could arguably, I wonder if these same people would have taken that same stand and been like, how dare you sell the PlayStation 4 at $399 when you get 2 games with the Wii U? No one ever would have made that reverse comparison.
Yeah, no one heard
and that was 2 games that are AAA games. They're not even like little the demo things we're talking about. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I will say though, I will say, I do still think that at the end of the day, it would be smart of Nintendo to put 1-2 Switch in the box. Like, I know we're talking about how they're not obligated to, and it's not a big deal for us that they're not. There are some reasons where I think that would be a good deal because it does do a lot of the things that we've talked about. I just don't think it's from the obligation standpoint that all these double standard folks are trying to hold to Nintendo specifically. Like, Nintendo's the one messing up, whereas the other guys are getting the pass.
Yeah,
I do still think
I'll say this, Robert. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree for the one reason only, because that game's not gonna sell for shit.
That's exactly
that's
why.
part of the reason.
Exactly. That's why I was saying.
Absolutely. It
Here's
is
what I'll
part
say.
of the reason you got.
I don't think 1-2 Switch is a good packing game for the Switch because it really just highlights the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, it doesn't highlight the main gimmick of the console.
There's no portable mode with 1-2 Switch, so I think.
Well, I just thought it should have been like an app.
I still think there's. I think Nintendo would have value with that though.
Listen to this option. Instead of just having the Joy-Cons for $80 and 1-2 Switch for $50, why don't they could bundle extra Joy-Cons with the game for like $100, $110, $120.
Oh, that's true.
A way better deal. That way, just like what was it, Wii Party or whatever, came with a Wii remote. Wii Play came with a Wii remote. Because to me, 1-2 Switch is a Joy-Con demonstrator, not the Switch as a portable.
Right.
And Wii Play was
How
trash.
much does 1-2 Switch cost?
It's
like
$50.
50, $49.99.
If that was going to be anything outside of what you just said, Terminator Juice, that would be what I would fuss about. The game being $49.99. Like, that game should seem like it should be a downloadable game for maybe, and that could be why they don't put it in. If you want to buy it, it's only you could download it for $10-15. And
well, we don't know how many different games there are in there and how
I thought they said there was only 20.
Yeah, they
only 20.
But it's the reason I say that. Only reason I say that is not necessarily they can have 30. It's the type of game it is. What it's actually doing is not really pushing anything outside of, like you said, the tech within the Joy-Cons. So the visuals on the screen ain't really being utilized much. So outside of manipulating the haptic feedback, what else is the game? You're not even looking at the screen, really. So,
but that's why I think it's still, like, it's all really good points, but I still think that in a world where Nintendo would have included it, there is value because, yes, the portability is like half of why the Switch matters, but I think the other half that they care about is the Joy-Cons and what's happening there.
Right.
So I feel like and all the other reasons why you say, like, oh, you don't use the TV and all that stuff, that's why we all know that game isn't going to sell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I'm saying that they could have lowered the price, made it maybe $15 on the eShop, and then show off the tech. Let you download it and show off the tech.
Because it's good, man. It's good. We can attest. Like, it's definitely something that I think people would enjoy. But Nintendo doesn't have a damn way to sell this to people because it's not exciting.
I think the bundle it with
There's
the
no way to
Joy-Cons.
demonstrate it.
The Joy-Cons is great. Yeah,
great
that
idea.
is not a bad idea. One or the other, I think, would be a good idea. But oh well.
I really think Nintendo's gonna, when that game doesn't sell, they're gonna Japan, I guess it's the number 2 pre-order.
Japan,
game.
it seems like it's doing good.
Really? I'm surprised on that one.
Of the launch games, obviously Splatoon's probably the most pre-ordered, and Zelda, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But,
no, I thought. Oh no, maybe that was like views. No, because I thought Zelda was the most pre-ordered.
I thought I heard around 200,000 pre-orders for the thing.
So we'll see.
Switch?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
We'll see.
I'm considering getting it, but right now Zelda's the only game I got pre-ordered with my Switch. I still got to pre-order a Pro Controller. So,
well, that's if you can find.
Good luck with that.
I know. I'm kind of just trying to wait till it gets come out. Hopefully, I'll be there first to pick it up because I'm definitely taking off work.
I thought there was some in the stores right now.
There'll probably be some in the stores. I luckily walked in and got a pre-order for one at GameStop. So.
Oh, T playing that, he lying. He was over there stalking GameStop.
Yeah, I was there every day.
Get mine.
What I'll,
Get hit in the back room.
What I'll say is I think of all the games Nintendo's made in recent years, I think 1-2 Switch is gonna see a price drop as quick as we've ever seen a Nintendo game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Other than that, getting back on what Level said about the pre-order thing, I only pre-ordered Zelda 2, but I plan on downloading like Fast Remix and
I'm definitely doing
Clips.
that. Yeah.
Some games that kind of give me some options, and
I got my Bomberman. I'm good. So.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I don't pay full price for games, and as long as Best Buy and Amazon are competing for that 20% off membership stuff, like so I can get Snipper Clips for 32. Or not Snipper Clips, 1-2 Switch, not 32. What would it be? 50.
40.
It'd be
42.
Yeah, it'd be about 40
42.
after tax or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, in that regard, 40 sounds a little bit better. But if it was just, $10 cheaper, then I might pick it up just to really utilize the HD Rumble because now
I think that's people's argument with Bomberman. People think Bomberman's too expensive. I'm like, well, I got Bomberman for $40. I'm good with that price.
Yeah, mine's 42.
So
you just gotta know where to shop.
If you're paying full price for games anymore, because
the
Best Buy Gamers Club, $30 investment, I get a $5 game off coupon immediately. So that's like I spent $25, and then 20% off. So with 2 games, and that $5 off, and I saved like $3-4 on an Amiibo. I'm already making money. I'm already saving. Like I'm already ahead like $3, and I'm
telling you, man, GameStop has to step up. Because they are so getting outclassed.
Because I went to
ass. That's why
I picked up Resident Evil 7 for $42.99 plus tax, brand new.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's worth. If somebody listening to this either doesn't have Amazon Prime or hasn't done the Best Buy Gamers Club thing, man, that $30. Like I told the lady in line for what I'm getting for 2 years, I get 20% off. I was like, I would have paid $100 for this.
Yeah.
It still
Which is what
worth
Prime is, but that's exactly how much Prime costs.
Yeah. Prime, there's other benefits. The Gamers Club has free shipping on anything over $35. So.
Oh, that's cool.
But anyway, there's a little plug there. We're gonna call it a night. I know Rob, you're gonna have to bounce here pretty soon anyway. So, I mean, we could talk about this double standard stuff as Nintendo fans.
We could keep yelling and yelling if you guys wanted us to.
And the people would still try to make reasons. There's just always making up new reasons for why, and it's
it's
I just think
to argue with them.
Yeah, no, I think it's really Nintendo's in a place of strength right now with the Switch, whereas the Wii U and people were pretty unsure, but because of the Wii was so successful, people just assumed the Wii U. Remember, Shokio made a bet that it'd sell 10 million the Wii U in the first year, and I really truly feel the Switch is lining up to do that.
Ironically enough, I made that bet in my last video.
I don't know what he saw in the Wii U as far as the lineup and stuff that made him think that, but that's
because it had all those third-party games, man.
I think for all the delays, because remember, I think Pikmin and Wonderful 101 were supposed to be launch titles.
And there was all those third-party games, obviously.
But still, first of all, off of the Wii,
but Pikmin never sold that great to begin with, and Wonderful 101 was an unknown IP, new IP. So
but I just think there's a lot of people who don't want Nintendo to be successful, and they're worried.
They want that Odyssey on their PlayStation 5s, man.
So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out.
I don't think it's that they don't want Nintendo to be successful, man. I just think they just used to
they don't know how to operate
narrative, and they don't know how to say anything different.
Right.
It's like at this point, they don't even know why they don't like Nintendo. They don't even know why they like the games they like because they don't play them long. So you can't like it because you ain't staying with it long enough to get full fulfillment out of it. So it's just the rhetoric that has become so common in the gaming industry. When it comes to Nintendo, they don't know how to turn it off, and so they just continue with the same narrative, saying stuff like the dude from Respawn who said what he said. Didn't know anything about it, but he knew this would be what everybody would expect to hear, so he said it. That's all it really is.
Yeah. Coming from, they've developed Titanfall on the Xbox 360.
Right.
Obviously,
it wasn't even educated.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, we're gonna wrap this up, so we'll get the final thoughts here, and we'll bounce on out of here. So let's start with Rob. Give your final thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like the last thing I'd add to the whole double standards conversation, I think it's important to say, I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone as much as just myself, maybe not, but like I think the point of the conversation we're having here isn't so much to say everything Nintendo does or is doing is necessarily right or the best idea. Some of these things may not work out, and maybe they've made a couple of dumb mistakes that we won't know until the Switch is out. That's totally possible. But like, I just hope people understand when debating the double standard, that's a different conversation than saying Nintendo's right and everything will work out perfectly, right? It's like people need to lobby the same sort of criticisms and positive statements to Nintendo that they do with the other guys. And it definitely does not feel like an even freaking playing field, man. And as Nintendo fans, it sure pisses us off. It pisses me off.
I will say we just harped on 1-2 Switch for its price and stuff. So it's like
exactly, yeah. We're not.
Nobody heard that. I bet you nobody heard that.
Nope. They tune out when that happens. They're like, oh, these guys are agreeing with me. I better not pay attention. Otherwise, I can't complain on my own video later. So it is just what it. I think it's important. Hopefully, that people hear that stuff. But that being said, I agree with what you were saying at the end, Juice. I think Nintendo's riding really positive conviction and momentum and hype into the Switch. And I feel like it's going to be great. A couple of things probably won't work out, but that's okay. I still think it's going to be a great system. So, yeah, it was a great conversation. It was awesome to have you on Level 2. Like, haven't talked to you in a super long time, so that was fun. And Resident Evil 7 is the bomb. Everyone should play it. The end.
All right, Terrell, what's your final thoughts?
It was good podcast. I appreciate being able to vent on multiple different channels. It allows all this aggression to get out, man. So we don't go out and take guns and shoot up a school or nothing. Anyways,
oh man, you're gonna get phone tapped now.
But it was a lot of fun. It's good to have Lobo back on here to keep us all level headed and whatnot. And just on a side note, Fire Emblem Heroes comes out this week, so I'm looking forward to that. And
so quick.
That's the
it's insane. It's so quick, dude. But
I will be looking forward to your thoughts to hear.
Yeah, because I'm curious. Since it's free to play, I can actually get this one. It's not like that Mario Run crap. I gotta spend $10. You'll make me spend $10.
Yeah, there's another thing that's too $10. Like
you only gotta spend it once, but it's $10, man.
But how many people wasted more than that on a free to play? I wonder.
That's what pisses me off. Like, why is that okay? Why is that? Oh, that's fine, but you can't charge me it up front though. The fuck. Anyways, life's a game. Play to win. Yes.
All right, Robert, go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't speak like anything.
Oh, that's right. You haven't really said nothing on the double standard.
Well, because you guys were doing pretty damn good on it. You guys said a lot of things that I was.
If you want to say some stuff on that real quick, that's fine.
I mean, I think you guys covered it all. It's pretty obvious.
Then why'd you bring this shit up?
He's like, no, because Robert's just like, I'm gaming my
All I'm gonna say is there's a double standard, people. And life's a game, play to win.
So what?
Congratulations though on your sub count. Took a nice healthy jump. You're almost past me.
Uh-oh. You guys are gonna have to arm wrestle.
Getting
Salt. The salt's
salty
coming
chips,
right now.
tomato chips up in here.
Just sprinkle some salt all across the podcast.
So, how are you enjoying that extra motion blur on that PC version of Resident Evil? Because that's honestly, literally the only benefit to PC.
What happened? You think that's the only benefit you think?
In addition to motion blur during some of the cinematic moments where you can't control your character.
What about the load time? The load time is way better.
Is it?
See, you just getting salty today.
Yeah, the load time sucks. If you reload a save point, because I was like,
well, that's how I was watching PS4 footage, and
it's
then
like 3 minutes.
Really? Wow, really? 3 minutes?
Damn.
My god!
I loaded up a save file because I used my lockpick and it was something lame. I was like, screw! I didn't want to waste it on that. It's 3 rounds of handgun ammo. I was like, nope. I load up the other. And it literally took like 3 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow, really?
3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
No. For me, I it's quick. It's incredible.
CD times and shit.
I mean, literally, it's got to be.
Times are rough now.
Maybe 30 seconds less than it. I don't know, something like that.
And but then again, it didn't install a whole lot on the PS4 version. like the initial install was like 6 gigs. I don't know if it went on to install
I think
more.
it's only 6 gigs actually. Yeah, that's
Really?
one of the amazing things.
Wow.
Yeah.
So curious
Surprised.
that I don't know why the loading times, supposedly the hard drives got this super fast read time on compared to cartridges and physical media, but we'll see. But anyway, is that all you had, Robert?
I just saw in the chat, and it's true. People are complaining about the 10 seconds of load time for
God.
Breath of the
Man,
Wild.
that's
I think
That was
Bro.
ridiculous.
OJ brought that up. I think that was a satirical article.
I hope so.
yeah,
Hopefully.
I think so.
Dude, I
Because-
showed on my video of our footage, there was
So incredibly good.
yeah,
load
like
time.
Robert, when you were playing at the end of the day, you got that game
Yep.
over. And like I
Mhm.
pointed that out in the video when it happened.
Multiple
I made
times.
sure to include it because when Robert gets a game over, it's like 8 seconds before it reloads the entire Breath of the Wild
Yeah,
game
it's
from a game over.
incredible.
Yeah, come on, man. There's whatever. People
That couldn't have been
That's
serious.
better than PC. I mean,
Chill out.
nothing's better than PC.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just off the demo build at the
True.
Treehouse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. Maybe it's longer, maybe it's shorter, but I think that joke. That was a joke, satire isn't obvious.
Was there a
isn't an-
video that said that, or what did that?
OJ was talking about it, and he thought that they were just being like they were serious, but they're just whatever channel.
Who
whatever
complained about it? Oh, okay.
It was like I don't know what Nintendo channel, Nintendo website,
someone crazy.
and they made it like sometimes humor is subtle, and I took it as humor, but some people are taking it. This person was really complaining about the 10-second load time.
Gotcha.
There's no way, and there's no way they were actually complaining about
That's
10
crazy.
seconds.
I will also say one more thing. I did buy Resident Evil 7 for $40, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
I got
That's
like
good.
my $52
Honestly,
from
digital.
Amazon or whatever.
So, T, what's your final thoughts?
Great podcast as usual. Very excited for the Switch. Even though it seems short, it also seems long for that March 3rd to happen. But I got stuff to play. I got stuff on that. What's the list? The bucket list.
Yeah, the bucket list.
To finish.
Oh,
So
you guys have got 33 days.
it's gonna be a very
God.
busy month.
Oh my god.
So yeah, looking forward to that. And play Nintendo food.
I'm chugging away at 101, our wonderful 101. So
I didn't know you were playing that game. I don't even get pictures of these.
I'm on mission 4C, which is just under halfway. There's 9. Actually, it's about halfway. There's 9 missions or whatever.
Are you enjoying it at all, or what do you think?
Yeah, but I was like, you barely talked about it.
And are you using the touchscreen or the right analog stick?
I've used both. The right analog's way better,
Yeah,
No way.
it is.
especially
No,
when
it's
you
garbage.
get the fast.
No,
once
it
you-
is, Rob. It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
so slow, man. That's the worst.
No,
way
you
to
get
do
the
it.
fast
No.
upgrade.
Yeah, about to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it just feels less accurate to me, but that's okay.
It is a little less accurate at times. I have to go back to touchscreen. I will say it's a bit of a chore playing that game. I'm not having fun.
Man.
I actually never, even though I always wanted you to play it, I kind of never thought you would like her. I was worried about that.
like how Rob said
Gotcha.
that, like he was like,
I didn't think you would like it
Here's
anyway.
the thing. There's parts in the game that are just so unobvious, like what you need to do, that it's frustrating to the point where I'm
Oh, you got
turn
to
it
fake
off.
for a minute.
And then once,
you just need to
tried,
get good, Juice.
I tried everything, and it was like nope. And then it was just like, oh, one time it worked, and then just like the camera, sometimes it's just hard to see, and I'm just like, now that I know what to do, if I played it a second time, I bet I wouldn't have a problem. But it's just like there's no. You want to talk about no guidance being a good thing in Resident Evil 7? There's some times where there's just a lot of frustrating deaths because
I don't remember running into. I mean,
Like,
dying-
yeah, I didn't run into that many problems.
oh,
bro.
this you're not dropping down here, you're dying here. Like it's just so hard to tell sometimes. Like,
there's one or two, maybe a couple of times.
there's so many times I want to move the
Yeah,
camera.
I'll say Wonderful 101's biggest problem is that it doesn't convey everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure on a second playthrough it would be much more enjoyable. The missions are so long, like it just
They are
lasts
very long.
forever.
They're very
They're
long.
out long, but I enjoy the
Oh,
battling,
the
man.
characters are so
The characters are fun, and
The mechanics are so good. I love the fight.
I wanna hold your hand.
All right, chill out.
I would say I'm decent at the combat though, where you got 3 different morphs going on at the same time. I mean, I do enjoy the challenge of that stuff, but it's just I don't know. It's not working.
I want to hear your thoughts on that final ending. I'm
feeling like I'm playing God of War where I can't move the camera around, and I just don't like that.
Hey man, God of War is AAA franchise. That's why, man.
Anyway. I like God of War, man. I like God of War.
It's okay. I tried. First one was okay. Couldn't get past the other two. I tried 3 times. But anyway, Leveled. Why don't you give us your final thoughts back on the Juices Loose? First time in over a year.
Yeah. First thing first. Buy what you want, play what you want, and realize that these people are no more closer to your personal space than the characters that they type in the comment section. So, man, until you go on YouTube or wherever else, they ain't invading your real space, man. So, stop letting these folks throw you and cause you to pivot off of what you like and what you want. Buy what you want, play what you want. That's how I feel. Happy to be back on the Juices Loose. Glad you invited me, Terminator. Nice to get up with all you guys. A few of you guys I haven't got a chance to talk to in a while. Had Mr. T on with Shadow Fox, and then we had Terminator Juice on. Was trying to get Rule of Two on the Live and Level Gamers podcast, but
yeah, I'd love to do it, man.
Yeah, we got to make that happen. But yeah, Juice, I enjoyed myself, man. Good conversation. Got a chance to vent like I normally do. I like venting. But if you get a chance, man, go over and check out fulleffectgaming.com. Got a lot of good articles up over there. Check us out at the Live Level Gamers podcast on my channel. And let's keep it gaming, folks. Switch a couple of weeks away, man. And it's going to be a done deal. I'm going to go on a hiatus. Y'all probably won't see me until June. So, I'll resurrect when E3 coming around because Breath of the Wild going to have me submerged. Man, it's gonna be having me.
Well, before that Switch comes out, you need to get Mr. Frosty on camera and do your own little rant for
man. A few cats almost made me pull out Mr. Frosty. He up in the cabinet like, man, he ain't even seen the Switch yet. I need to show him the commercial. I might do a video where he finally get to see the Zelda trailer and see how that work out. Just takes so long to edit that stuff. Mr. T know what I'm talking about. That stuff takes too long to edit, man.
I did a couple edited videos, and one was some gameplay of Gravity Rush 2, where I uploaded it privately, then I downloaded it to my computer, edited it in, spent some hours, and 50 views.
That's kind of why I stopped doing it, man.
Why you invest in a caption?
I added commentary and everything, and then the video.
I watched it. It was good.
You got to understand gameplay on these gaming channels is.
I know. I mean, I don't want to.
You also aren't known for that, though. People don't know Juice is loose for that stuff.
I get more views from recording on my phone and putting one still picture up than I got from doing straight up dialogue with me and Mr. Frosty talk to each other. Mm-hmm. Talking back and forth. We having straight up dialogue, interviewing them and everything. That video got like 100 views. A video that I put up that I'm just talking and fussing and put a picture up gets 1,000 views. It's like, dude, I just stick to that.
It's so funny.
Welcome to the YouTube Analytics podcast, everybody.
You know how much time I spent on the Mr. T rescue? And how many comment sections people are like, oh, I didn't know you got free from Squeaks the Cat. I'm like, I didn't know you made the video once again.
That's what you did.
That's the story.
I forget that, man.
Every video now. Oh,
I've been saying for so long, T, you should have like 100,000 subscribers. It so bugs me, man.
T, you put plot in your video, dog. You can't be doing that.
I gotta throw Robert.
Man, it take too long, man. This take way too long.
Yeah, and Robert, no, I agree with you too, man. I've been saying that for a long time. That Robert, you always put like really good time in editing into your videos. Like your top 10 was so good.
Yeah,
and like you said, Juice, I think a minute ago, like you finally crossed that threshold a couple of weeks ago, and then really last week, and like it's good because like people who put time should get exposure, but that's. Like you said, Terrell, it's the analytics, man. It just doesn't always.
Yeah, I say, welcome to the Analytics Podcast, everybody.
I will say,
coming up,
we're here to help you get views.
Here's my final thoughts. First, I don't care if only 50 people watch that clip of Gravity Rush 2. If one person went out and bought the game because of that, because I had a really good reception to the 6-minute clip with no audio, with no commentary, and people were really responding. Wow, oh my God, that looks so awesome. I wish Skyward Sword work like that. I wish Nights into Dreams would do something like this.
Oh, please.
And if anybody went out and bought that game because of even if it was just one person, then it was worth my time.
You did your job.
Literally, that is right now. Like, I'm in love with that game. Like, it's my favorite PS4 game. It would have been almost my game of the year last year.
Why you gotta play, man?
What about that sequel, dog? You ain't excited for Knack 2? Come on, man.
No. I mean,
it's called Knack Attack.
I can see.
Oh god.
Not everybody would be into Gravity Rush, but it's a unique game. The gameplay is completely unique, original, quirky little story, and just unique gameplay mechanics. And it's
you not gonna talk about those outfits though, Juice?
Those outfits are nice too, but
yeah, they are, Juice.
You know what I'll say, I might want to get that game because I do want to get that game.
You'll never finish it, but
I may never finish it, but it looks.
Robert, you don't need it. You just want to look at some outfits.
Man,
the thing with Gravity Rush, man, is I didn't understand. Like, I played it, and I didn't understand. Like, I just didn't get the concept of what I'm doing. I was floating to these different platforms, and it just was. I was like, why am I just everywhere I go? I just float to this and float. I was like,
too much floating.
Too much floating for me, man.
You don't like the fly level? Come on, man.
It definitely opens up. Like, it expands well beyond what I was expecting the first game, and then the sequel just took it to the 10th level.
Honestly, Juice, if it helps you, like, you pretty much talking about it and loving it so much has basically convinced me to pick it up at some point.
Yeah, I mean, especially Nintendo gamers, like, I don't think it doesn't feel like a Nintendo made the game, but it feels like something that would feel right at home on a Nintendo.
I get
system.
it. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, man. I meant to ask earlier, and I ain't want to take on. I know we trying to end. And I hope this don't go farther than this. But did you get the sense that Nintendo is bringing back that arcade, that 90s feel with the Switch?
I guess that never dawned on me. But I do.
Like,
kind of, actually, when you think about it.
Like, when you think about it, like, how arms looked, I felt like, I said this on the live level, man. When I saw the games that they were showing, it felt like when I walked into an arcade, it was just wanting to touch everything. And I haven't felt that way in gaming in a long time. I just want to touch everything, man. I want to play everything, man.
That's true. I mean, ARMS does look very arcade-ish.
Splatoon 2. Yeah.
Splatoon
was always a 90s game.
Right.
So,
and, they're keeping the couch co-op alive, man.
Bomberman coming back. I mean, that's crazy.
Let's go, son.
Dude, just the fact that the Joy-Cons, they literally give you 2-player option in the box with the Joy-Cons. Like, I thought about that the other day.
Awesome.
But I don't want to
I'm
spend
going to get Bomberman and Snipper Clips, and it's like my girlfriend will want to play those, and I don't even have to buy another controller to do that.
Rob, I don't want to spend $50 for that, man. That's what I'm saying.
I know, that's a ripoff, obviously.
I know.
It'd be better if they just came with one Joy-Con, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There ain't no joy in that Joy-Con.
So
how am I going to share the joy?
There ain't no joy in that Joy-Con.
Maybe that's a topic of discussion for the next podcast. But continuing my final thoughts, like I said, Gravity Rush 2, I mean, if anyone went out and bought it because of my video, and you guys, like, none of you guys were interested in it. And
I'm going to buy it now.
I will say the first
I never
game,
thought about it.
The first game's a little bit, it starts really slow, and it was a Vita game, so I mean it's got the side quests, it's very basic. But once it opens up more and you get to all the areas, there's some good combat, and there's some really cool fantasy style, the way that the whole world is based upon this kind of cool idea, and all the cutscenes are just like a comic book with text bubbles. So I mean, the production maybe doesn't appeal to everybody, but man, right there with Breath of the Wild, Gravity Rush 2 is one of the best looking games that my eyes have ever seen. A 3D game, like it's just that beautiful, and it's amazing. Like Red Knight was like, man, give Tantalus 2 years and tell him to make Skyward Sword, but have him change it so you can just jump off Skyloft and just go through the clouds, fall, and right down to the ground. Like you don't have any cutscene, no loading. And I was like, that would be sweet. I mean, I never thought of that, and that would be amazing. So I'm really enjoying it, and it justified my PS4 alone. I already have as many games on my PS4 as I did on my PS3 over the whole life of my, having the PS3. So
nice.
I'm glad I got it, and that's really the game that I've always wanted ever since I seen it. That's the game that really got me thinking I wanted a PS4. So been playing that, and I'm gonna get more playtime in Resident Evil 7. I'm enjoying that, and then finish a few things off the bucket list, like Wonderful 101, And I was thinking about Freedom Planet. Maybe I'll try to finally finish that little indie game. So, but yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I know we talked a lot about Resident Evil in the beginning, so for the Nintendo fans, I guess apologize if that wasn't interesting to you, but you know, we talk about more than just Nintendo here, even though we do focus mainly on it. But anyway, that's going to be it for the Juice is Loose. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all my guests for joining me every week. Leveled, great to have you back. We'll have to have you on again sometime soon. So until then, everybody,
Myself.
peace.